Okay. Okay, so come on then. Let's get the scrum group then. What have you got for us? What factors should you consider increasing backline attacks? Give us one of the scrum groups.
Yeah, so our group talked about how we want to consider what side of the pitch you're on, or if you're in the middle. Also, what zone you're in terms of like, are you in your red zone, green zone, in the middle? And then something that we talked about, you need to distinguish whether you want your calls, your moves to be, some teams like to do it, all right, we have a left-hand side move, a middle move, right-hand side move, and then you have different options off of that, and you're playing heads-up rugby with those options. Other teams, you might want to do, your backs are communicating, yeah, DSP ranging like on the go with options off of those, maybe a little bit more like good comms needed, but yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, adjusting in the game as well, depending on how stable your scrum is, like whether if it's really unstable, whether you want to just go APEG reset and then do backs. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Anything from your group? That's excellent. Good job. No, if we get the other scrum group up, what can you add to that? Or just take the microphone over there. It's, I guess, does it shift there?
We kind of covered the same thing, talking about where on the pitch you are. Obviously, like if you're 5 meters out from scoring,
yeah.
also what kind of structure you want your players to be in. So earlier, when we were doing some backline moves, we were looking at 1-2-3-1 as well as 3-2. So kind of where you want your forwards to be. So out the scrum, your 8 and your open side would be falling around to the first ruck, the center running out, whatever, and then your rest of your pack kind of folding in pods, waiting for the next phase. Yeah, kind of what we covered.
Okay, good. Nice. Anything from the other two groups that got any thoughts on scrums, specifically on scrums?
Yeah. Backs have more space to attack.
Sorry, I got that as backs have more space to attack off scrums.
Yes. Before the forwards are stuck into the scrum, so that essentially it's just literally backs against backs.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. So would that be different if it was a line out then, if all the forwards were in a line out?
The only difference would be is if the scrum is positioned in the middle.
Yep. Okay.
The scrum has a set number of players where a line out doesn't.
It's full line out, it's the same situation.
So it's a little bit longer to stage the scrum. Front row running a little bit longer to get into position the scrum compared to a line out.
Okay, sorry, I've got something about scrum dominance. Was that right?
No,
Sorry, I can't quite hear, I'm afraid, with the sound.
It might be a little harder to get your forwards back into action after the scrum versus the line out.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Anything else on scrums, guys? It's good stuff there. No? Okay, let's get the line out. Oh, go on. Yes, sorry.
I was going to say, like, the speed of ball and the way, like, what type of scrum you've had kind of dictates how well that ball comes out to your backs.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
that's quite crucial.
yeah, that is. Yeah, the speed of the ball is useful. Yeah, definitely. Good. Okay, let's jump on the line out. Come on then. Give us one of the line out group start. What factors should you consider increasing backline attacks off of scrum and the line out? Sorry, the line out. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, so for the line out, we talked about the fact, it was just mentioned, we can vary numbers. So we can mix it. We have the option to mix and match our attack a bit more. We can put forwards out in the back line to support. So that allows the backs to do potential different options. They might feel more comfortable going for a crash because they know there's support there, etc. We talked about how to consider position on the pitch. So line outs inside your own 22, you probably run a slightly different move to if you're inside your own 22 and looking to score. The amount of space between the back lines is much greater as well because from the line out, the distance that they're from each other is going to be larger. So there's more space there. So there's the option to have more time to do a move that's a bit more complicated. And also because it's on one, you're always at one edge when you start from the line out, so you always have that full width that you can play with as well. So you can exploit the fact that you can go fully wide if you want to and stretch the defense.
Nice stuff. I like the way you've thought about that in terms of the space between the team with the ball and team without the ball. Great. The other group on the line out?
Yeah, the same.
All right, then. The scrum groups. Anything to add to that? And then we'll have a look at some stuff. No? All right. Listen, guys, there's some good stuff thinking about there. I'll go into some. There's effectively four. Hang on. Why don't you let me do this? Oh, here we are. There are effectively four areas you can probably break it down into in really big situations. So the first one is when you're putting your backline attack together, understand the strengths of your backline. So understand what you have in terms of your strengths as the players. Do you have a wonderful passing 10 and a center? Then that creates more options for you. If you've got two big crash ballers in the centers, then that may limit. So really understand. Don't ask people to do effectively, you know, what they're actually is not their strengths. Get them to play as much as possible their strengths. Now, particularly for you people working with younger age groups, you want to try and expand their strengths, of course. So right the way down the bottom, you want to try and get to do as many different parts of the game as possible. But the further up you go, if a guy is really good at his ball carrying and running certain inlines, then let's use him that way. The second one is time. The time you guys have actually with people to do strengths, to do these plays. And I'll show you a bit of an example as to why that's important for you. For those of you that are working on just your Sunday mornings, then obviously you get very, very limited time to do. So therefore, the simplicity of your plays, and I loved it with the scrum group first up that spoke about there could be a set play that has different options off it. That's a really good one to do when you've got limited time. Because what you're not asking people to do is learn different plays. You're asking them to learn one particular play, but then have multiple options off it. And that's brilliant for their decision making. And that's great for you when you've got limited time. The one you guys have all picked up on is the position, which is excellent. Where that fits, not just in terms of the up and down the field, but also particularly with the scrums, is where that fits left to right. And it's interesting you put a left or a right side scrum and have specific moves for it. I'll show a clip or two in a second that may just get you thinking a little bit about that one. There's also a really important one with that position is also about the context of the game. So some of you picked up on so well about the adapting, you know, what happens in that game, what's happened previously. So in terms of the scrum, is the line out, you know, the line out's a really good one. Are they winning? Are they contesting really on the line out? And that means that actually you've got to throw the ball to the front of the line out. Now, of course, you get the ball to the front of the line out. It's a longer pass from the 9 to the 10, and it's much more difficult to attack off that. So understanding what the context of the game is really important. And then finally, guys, is of course just the defense. What is the defense doing? This is one of the ones that probably we are worst at coaches at doing. We basically have a play and we get people to practice the play, but the play is not appropriate for the defense. And this is one of those challenging areas to coach set piece plays effectively in rugby. Because the strengths of the defense and how the defense changes, we need to coach players that can see those pictures and can make those changes in the moment. And we'll do a little task at the end of this, just try to how can we create training situations to help them develop that. So 4 specific areas really: understand the strengths of your team, understand the time you have to spend on this, understand the positions and the context of the game where the set piece is, and as importantly as all of these is understanding the defense. Here we go. This is what international rugby generally looks like. This is the number of scrums and lineouts there is in a game. So what does that tell us, do you think? Who's got any ideas?
We need more time on our lineout practice.
Yep. Go on. What else?
You have very limited opportunities, it seems, to attack near the try line from scrum.
So I couldn't quite hear that. Was that limited opportunities to attack?
Yeah, from scrums.
Off of scrums, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
sure.
Go on. Anything else? So the key question would be, how much do you think you should spend time looking at these specific areas in your coaching?
Little.
And it all depends upon how much time you have effectively with your players and at what age they're at. But ultimately, if you're looking at scrums in your own half, then what are you doing generally in your own half? You're generally trying to get the ball into their half, aren't you? So it's a very simple play there. So ultimately, we're looking at probably 2 attacking scrums a game, which could be anywhere from the middle of the field right the way to 1 touchline. And that picture will change all the time, depending upon the number of people on the short side of defense, the strength of opposition. So trying to have very specific set scrum plays there are limited options, really limited opportunities to implement them in a game. So where do you spend your time best coaching? Just have a think about that one. I'll show some clips in a second. The line out as well, for those that go higher up, you've got 4 line outs in between the 50 and the 22 and 3 in the 22 to try line. What would you generally do 22 to try line off a line out?
Oh,
Yeah, you probably maul, wouldn't you? You probably, now there could be variations and trick plays, of course you could. And then, so you're basically, again, you're only really looking at four lineouts, possibly a game where you're going to look to do sort of plays. And for every single one, you do a longer line out to a shorter line out. That's more learnings for people. So the only point I'm making here is, with all the stuff you have to coach and all the stuff that you need to implement to your players with their learnings, just be really mindful of how many opportunities they'll get in games to make that learning count. And I'll do an example. I hope this video kind of plays, and just shout if it doesn't. These are the scrums, effectively. These are all the playable scrums from the recent Australia versus New Zealand game. Okay.
29 gone. New Zealand up by 13, but down to 14 men for the next 17 minutes, and putting huge pressure on you. There's Jordan. Doing it quickly, away for Ioane. Bounces off Samu. From New Zealand, but Australia hold firm. McDermott was looking for the runner. Good strike from the Wallabies. It's the back, Valentini under pressure, away for Karevi. Barrett checking the big shot. McDermott. The exit was touched with 13 after the goals to Logan Barrett. Version of the try to Geordie Barrett, who's done for the afternoon after getting that red card. Australia looking to capitalise with him off the field. McDermott, a little bursting type. Kill away. Touch goes to Corena. Through the middle of it. You want it?
Okay. You get out of this second. Oh. Okay, so what do you notice about that then?
That's the headed up, coming back in towards the scroll.
Oh, sorry. Is it possible to get the microphone around? I just can't quite hear, I'm afraid. Sorry about that.
I just said that every back move ended up coming back towards the scrum. Nothing went wide.
Okay, good. Okay. Anything else? Good. I like it, Steve. Yeah, you like Debbie McGee.
They're all very basic moves. So it's quite like a one pop, and then they're straight into their normal attacking shape, rather than a really complex move with people at the back and other different ones.
Good. Okay. Yeah. See you guys. Good. Anything else?
They only, the attacks only seem successful when the scrums going forwards or they didn't go backwards.
How many scrums were set and stable?
Two, probably. They were the ones where they actually made game line success, I'd say. The one for the try, certainly.
Yeah. So when we talk about that solid set piece, that stable, the scrum, and how we often practice our backs moves, we'll generally do it off just a ball stuck on the floor, and then we play our scrum, play off of that. Now, what we're seeing from here is, generally speaking, that doesn't happen. So how do people adapt their training so you're actually reacting to kind of a messy kind of situation is far more appropriate to the game. So therefore, if you actually look, one of the most successful ones there were people not particularly playing moves, but actually playing with their instincts, So if you watched when it was Tate McDermott, the Aussie scrum half just ran off down the short side because he felt the scrum move a bit and then stepped back up, watching the over chase. Yeah. All those little things there, that's just playing off the instincts. Anything else you guys notice?
Most of the plays were really simple. They were just 9 to 10, then break down, then 9 to 10 again, break down or kick. Kept it simple, fast. They kept it simple and fast.
Okay, simple and fast. Okay, good. So it's, again, it just goes back into what are you coaching? Where are you spending your time? They were really simple moves, but you've basically got about 2 or 3 line breaks, which off a set piece is incredible to get line breaks set piece. One of them leading to a try, purely by reading instincts, reading shoulders. So again, just have a think when you're looking at your scrum plays effectively. Okay, how am I going to create practices that create those great pictures for people? Am I spending time going, you run here, you come out the back, you do this? Or am I getting people to feel what a scrum could do, to understand that actually there's 2 people on the short side, the flank has been caught in here, actually the 9 could do this and run, And actually the one move that looked really organized was the one Australian one, okay, where actually they saw the 9 had to run, had all people hitting lines, and then what happened off that one? Can we remember?
Got stripped and turned over.
Yeah, why did it get turned over?
Support play wasn't there.
Okay, yeah, could be that. Yeah. What did New Zealand do? Oh, flipping heck. Sorry? And you remember what New Zealand did in that picture? Sorry, I couldn't quite hear that.
Try again.
What was that saying? All got stripped. You asked me why. I don't know if that was just the carrying position he was in. The bolt up, right?
Okay. Have a look at these scrums again, and we'll go through it one more time. Then we'll jump onto the lineouts because it's all about getting you a better feel for it. Have a look at the stat New Zealand one in particular, and so the Australian one in particular, and look what New Zealand do. And the question you always go to yourself as a coach is, have I created those pictures for my players in training? Because that's what we want to try. We want to make sure that whatever we do at the weekend, they've effectively seen something like it in training. So I'll just jump back in to these scrum plays and just have a look at them again.
29 gone. New Zealand up by 13, but down to 14 men for the next 17 minutes.
So if you look at this straight away from this one, the scrum is brilliant. Okay, so what it's done is taken this flanker out. Now, as soon as the flanker gets taken out of here, yep, that enables 9 Brad Weber then to have a run. If the flanker is there, then probably Brad Weber doesn't run. So that's him making that read. How do you practice that in training?
Huge pressure on here. There's Jordan. Clearing it quickly away for Uwane. Bounces off Samu. Wait from New Zealand, but Australia.
What we got?
Yeah, the wheel, the scrum towards the touchline to take all the New Zealand back row out of it.
Yeah, really good on that one. Yeah, excellent. What's the picture now?
Nine has read the 10 Russian. So he's chosen not to pass I guess he's going to attack the space.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry, what was that?
So the 9 has seen the 10 rush up.
Yep.
Seen the gap that the 10 has left, and he's attacking the space between the I guess the boat and barrage shooting up.
Yep. So what do you think Australia are trying to do here? What's this play trying to do, do you reckon?
I think initially the Australian 12 is running down the 10 channel. Trying to suck in their back line. Use their back line next in. I think the goal of the Australians attack suck in their back line so they can then get out wide.
Yeah. Yeah, see, basically, this is a play effectively where you're getting the centre running short, so he'll run the inside shoulder of the 10, and then you get 2 people, the 10 and the winger coming on the out, coming behind him. And they'd have practiced this one, but they'd have practiced it with this 10 here defending back in here. Okay. Now, the problem they now have is this is a picture they haven't seen before, so it's messed up all their timing. And as a result of that, you get that picture there. Now, the question again is, how are we coaching the players here, guys? Are you coaching them in terms of that static picture, or actually this is all about decisions? So getting people in defense to change pictures and getting people to adapt is so important, okay? And that's what you want to do, to make better decision makers. Make them see pictures, make them think, challenge them. Yeah?
McDermott was looking.
Yeah.
Jordy Barrett, who's done for the afternoon after getting that red card. Australia looking to capitalise with him off the field. McDermott, a little burst in tight. Kill away. His first touch goes to Karevi.
All good with that, guys? Can we see what they're doing there, yeah? Yeah? You got exactly the same play as you had in the first half. But this time, what do they decide to do? What's different from the first half?
Nine doesn't scoot here.
Excellent. Why can't the 9 scoot?
Because the flank is, the unscrum half is right in space.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly right. You see the guy blocking that space there. And as a result of that, then it becomes a lot easier to defend. But at the same time, you don't get the opportunity for defense to get up quickly. So they've just done the same play twice. So what we're basically saying here, guys, in that game, you had New Zealand had 1 scrum that didn't go to a penalty. And they adapted and played off the hoof and read it with people running, the 9 scooting out the wing coming short. Brilliant reads. No set scrum play. For Australia, they had 4 scrums. Okay. 1 of them, they were getting out of their own half. That's perfectly fine. 8 pick up, then a kick. 1 of them, the 9 scoots and reads, and 2 of them are this play. That is their plays for this game. So where do we spend our time? Just really reinforcing that point for you guys. Okay, let's then have a look at lineouts. Okay, so what I want us to do now, if we can, we're only going to do this for 5 minutes. Okay, if you are the New Zealand team, you get yourselves into what, how many people got now? 3 groups? Yep. Okay, where would you look to attack if you're the New Zealand team, based upon what you spoke about previously, looking at the strengths, the defensive picture, okay, and where the field position is? Where would you look to attack against this particular team against Australia? Okay, so 3 groups, 5 minutes. Where would you look to attack? And if you've got a bit of time, how you do it as well. Go on, give that, how you do that. 5 minutes.
Again, it's a good dynamic in this group, lots of chat.
Okay, let's go last minute, guys, and then we can chat it through. Last minute.
I think we're all good, Simon.
We're all good. Okay, so first group. Go on, where are you going to attack? I guess the answer question is why you want to attack there. And if you got it, how would you do it?
I think we probably do a 12 crash, straight off the lineup, so 9, 12.
Sorry, I can't quite hear. Could you get the mic closer? Come there. Sorry, yeah.
I think we'd probably do a 12 crash, so we got 9 to 12, and crash it up into the 10, in between the 10 and the 12 to suck them in. And then we go quick backs ball from the 10 to the 13 to the 14 to the 15.
Okay, so why would you do that?
Because the 12 crash would suck in the back line slightly, and then the second phase would happen relatively quickly, and the defense wouldn't. The defense would be on the back foot from the 12 crash.
Okay. Anything to add to that group? No. So I missed that. Second group.
We did say they could do what they want because they're a far better team.
That's an interesting one there. So well, I'll pick up that in a second. Let's hear the second group.
We're saying to either attack in between the 10 and the back line. There's a bit of space there. You could do a crash ball with 12 through there, but their blindside winger is covering it. So then we're thinking go really wide because their blindside winger is staying there. So you're going to have an overlap outside. And we said probably the Australian midfield is quite strong. So in terms of their strengths, with the All Blacks wingers, you try and target the Aussie winger on the far side, and hopefully you have an overlap.
So you're trying to get out into this area out here, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. And your rationale is because the Aussie midfield is relatively strong, and the Kiwi outside wings you think are potentially a bit better, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Okay. I like the thought process. Good. Third group.
What we're thinking about is that we've noticed, I think, there's no fullback. There's no fullback back home because we can see the 10, 12, 13, 14, and 15 in the line. So the end goal is to kick it behind into the space behind the current fullback or wing.
Okay, I'm sorry to change this. There is a fullback in place.
All right.
Sorry, buddy.
If that's the case, then yeah. Then most of the defense is between the 15 and the 15. So then we'll probably hit midfield pit and then additional forward pot across to then free up the backs to then have a full backs attacking the wide channel.
Okay. Okay, some good thoughts there. Well done. Anything to add there, guys? Then I'll have a little chat through in more detail. No other thoughts? Okay, I'll try and break this down for you. I'm sorry, the interaction is probably not as good as I'd like it to be, but because the communication, the mic doesn't seem to be quite sharp. But look, there are basically 3 areas you look at attacking off a line out. If we take off the maul, so to get rid of the maul first and foremost, and we look at basically 3 areas. One is this seam here between the back of the line out and the first receiver in defense. And what generally you'll have is you'll have a forward off this tail or the 9. They'll basically be covering off there. Okay. They haven't got one at the moment. Okay. So there's an opportunity here. What they've done is they've taken this person off of here and put him in the actual back line. So they've got a higher number of backs in defense than they would usually do. So that's actually Michael Cooper there effectively. Hooper, sorry, there. So they've got that there. So that's the first opportunity. Do you look at it being off the seam there? Okay. And then if you are going to target this area, what you want to try and do is, can you try and tie in this back lifter? So if you throw to the back of the line out, it helps them, it makes this team compete. Yep. And therefore this guy has to lift, and it's very difficult for him to get off and connect up here. So you get this good opportunity. The risk, of course, is throwing to the back of the line out, much more difficult throw, much easier to steal. But you're probably sitting there going, Kiwis probably got a good line out there, so they may have that one. So that's the first opportunity. Does that make sense to everyone? Any questions?
No question.
No.
No, okay. The second one is then you're hitting up in the midfield. Okay. You're trying to do what you're saying there. I think this first group spoke about trying to get on the front foot. You're really targeting this area. This is a bit of a risky one against this team. Kiwis, physical, yes, but generally a better ball playing side. Against some of the 2 Aussie centres are big, tough Islanders, effectively. So it's a question mark whether they get a significant go forward there, particularly when you've got a great stealer of the ball with Michael Hooper here. So that's the trap, effectively, potentially. Okay. So that's the second option. And then the third option, like you said, guys, is trying to get right out on the edge here. Now, the difficulty about trying to get out on the edge against this back line here defensively is, like I said, they've got the extra person here. Now, that extra person here gives them more width in their defense. So if you thought about taking this person away here, all these people have to be a little bit tighter, but people stick it out there to get the extra width on that one. Okay, so that's the thought there. Okay, so those are the 3 areas: off the seam, in the middle, of the back, at the back here. Okay, does that all make sense to everyone?
Yeah. Do Australia not need to leave for the line out because it's the All Blacks?
Sorry, I can't hear that. Sorry, say that again.
So you can either have 7 or 4.
It's been answered within the group.
Okay, good. Okay, good. And the key thing about this is what I'm just trying to get you guys to appreciate is this picture here could be completely different to the picture they're expecting to see against this team. So they may have thought that actually that Michael Hooper was going to be here, and that changes. So they may well have thought, you know what, actually we're going to have the space out wide here to go for this. But it's their ability to adapt in the moment, guys, and your ability as coaches to go, right, this is the picture now, this is the picture now. How do you as players solve these problems is absolutely critical when you're designing any of these particular plays. Is that okay with you all?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you reckon then the Kiwis do?
One was keep it in the forwards, one was run with it. One is attack the seam.
Okay, excellent. Another thing just to be conscious of, first line out of the game. First line out of the game. And generally what teams do here, particularly the higher end level, is they do a kind of a shot play, something a bit different. I'll just try and find it for you because I'm really conscious of time for you guys. Hold on 1 second. Where are you? Okay, here we are.
Out ball.
Here we are. Right, you ready?
Set themselves an attacking platform. Goes over the top, lovely hands down low from Herville.
That's what they do. Go straight over the top. They see that seam there effectively and they go, you know what, first line out, we know that the Aussies are probably going to compete pretty hard about this one. We're going to do something really simple. And they just about get away with it. I mean, it's pretty decent hands, isn't it? Eh? But you can see the risk here. Because it's not a straight throw for a start. it's way over. Okay, but you can see the risk here. He's straight into Michael Hooper, who's read it quite quickly. But it's a great way of just getting over the top here. And they probably just called that on the hoof. I would imagine they've just seen that. They've got a call for it, and they've just gone for it. Okay. I'll stop sharing now. There. Look, so there was going to be another one of a shorter line out with a 4-man, but what you're looking at there, but. The key points I want you guys to come away with this one is you can design all the practices you like in terms of your backline, be creative with it. The critical piece is actually the pictures you're doing with your defense to help your players learn. So when you're coaching your teams in terms of your backline, work with your defense, change those pictures and get the players to adapt in the moment. Get the players to think, and how do I solve this problem? Make it nice and messy for them. Make it difficult. Guys, you got any questions? You got like 2 more minutes. Got any questions about backline attack? I know it's been a hot morning for you. Anything that'd be useful to know? No?
Yep.
Look, I appreciate your time on that one. Sorry?
How would you weigh like the perfect set piece training versus fucking it all up and making a problem solve? Would you do 50-50? Would you focus on problem solving most of the time?
No, so generally speaking, we're trying to get a 70-30 split in success and failure. Okay. Now, the biggest challenge you'll always find, and certainly I find, and all, I guess, backs coaches will generally find, is the only way of really replicating those right pitches in terms of a scrum and the angles, and the timing off of lineouts is to do it with the forwards as well. But of course, you don't always get that time. It's critical because that is what the picture gives you, you know. Even something as simple, it's really important, this kind of detail, guys. You imagine you do the lineout practice where someone just like throws the ball to the 9 and then passes the ball, you know, standing. The whole timing from the lineout off the top comes from a jump and a drop. And that whole timing sets the whole backline off. So if we're not replicating that, and it's very difficult to do without forwards. So what we used to do quite a fair bit was get someone standing on a ladder, a really nice tall ladder, and they throw it in and get that time off. Because otherwise the timing isn't the game. So 70-30, sorry, generally is the success to failure ratio you look to work on. If you're doing that, you're probably helping learning.